also from the Lone Star State. He came in at 220.
This showdown between Jake Paul and Mike Tyson was something nobody thought they'd see, a spectacle that felt both thrilling and surreal. On one side, we had Jake Paul, a YouTuber turned boxer who has shaken up the sport with his unconventional rise. On the other, Iron Mike Tyson, the heavyweight legend whose name alone stirs memories of some of the fiercest battles in boxing history. But what brought these two fighters into the same ring? In the months leading up to the fight, there were countless debates, rumors, and speculations. Some saw it as a desperate attempt by Tyson to reconnect with the sport that made him famous. Others saw it as another bold move by Paul to secure his position as more than just a YouTube personality dabbling in boxing. Many wondered if the age difference, Tyson at 58 and Paul in his prime at 26, would make this fight fair or ethical. But none of this chatter could take away the electric anticipation that grew as the fight day approached. For boxing traditionalists, this match felt like an insult to the sport's legacy, yet for a new generation of fans, it was a chance to see two worlds collide, the old-school grit of a boxing legend and the new-age hype of an influencer-turned-fighter. When the fight finally began, it was clear that this wasn't going to be a typical boxing match. Tyson, though far from his prime, came in with the same fierce energy that once made him a household name. But right from the start, he struggled to keep up with Paul's youthful energy and movement. Paul, known more for his internet fame than his boxing skills, surprised many by showing discipline and strategy in his approach. He didn't rush in wildly, and he avoided Tyson's few attempts at heavy punches, staying just out of reach and using his jab effectively to maintain distance. For fans who remember Tyson as a powerhouse who ended fights within seconds, this performance was a stark contrast. His punches lacked the ferocity that once made his opponents tremble, and he appeared slow, even hesitant at times. Throughout the 8 rounds, Paul outmaneuvered Tyson, landing more precise shots and keeping control of the ring. As the rounds went on, it became clear that this would not be a glorious comeback for Tyson but rather a calculated victory for Paul. The final scorecards reflected this, 80-72, 79-73, and 79-73 in favor of Paul. For many watching, it was a bittersweet moment, a realization that the once invincible Mike Tyson was no longer the baddest man on the planet. After the fight, Tyson's in-ring interview was a moment that hit hard for many longtime fans. Gone was the intimidating, iron-willed champion. In his place stood a 58-year-old man grappling with the reality of aging. Tyson admitted feeling sore and disappointed, struggling to accept that his body couldn't perform as it once did. Fans watched with heavy hearts as Tyson's voice wavered, a reminder of the toll that years of fighting, and life itself, can take on a person. In the post-fight press conference, Tyson was even more vulnerable, pausing often as he shared his regrets about the fight's outcome. He reflected on his struggles with physical pain and hinted at an injury he'd kept quiet before the fight. Even as he talked about his performance, there was a haunting sense that Tyson, known for his unbreakable confidence, was now questioning his future in the ring. Yet, true to his fighter's spirit, Tyson didn't entirely rule out a return. He even mentioned the possibility of fighting Jake's brother, Logan Paul. The vulnerability of this moment, juxtaposed with Tyson's past dominance, left fans torn between admiration for his courage and sadness at the reality of watching a legend past his prime. The reactions from the boxing world were immediate and intense. For many, the spectacle of seeing a nearly 60-year-old Tyson fight a YouTuber was a low point for boxing. Boxing legend Teddy Atlas, who trained Tyson in his early years, expressed a mix of respect and skepticism. He acknowledged Paul's discipline and strategy but questioned the fight's purpose, calling it more entertainment than a real sporting contest. Atlas pointed out that Paul's win might be significant in terms of bringing new eyes to the sport, but he feared it could also cheapen boxing's reputation. Stephen A. Smith from ESPN shared a similar view, commenting that Tyson was simply too old to be in the ring with a fighter in his physical prime. Eddie Hearn, a prominent promoter, criticized the event as scripted, saying it felt more like a planned spectacle than a real fight. For these purists, the match represented a worrying trend in boxing, where big names and entertainment value often overshadow the sport's honor and history. Yet, there were also voices who saw the positives in Paul's victory. George Foreman, a heavyweight legend himself, acknowledged Paul's skill and saw the fight as a reminder that youth and energy have their own power, even if the execution wasn't ideal. Fans, too, were split in their reactions. For die-hard Tyson fans, watching him struggle against someone like Jake Paul was heartbreaking. Many took to social media to express their frustration, questioning why the fight was even allowed to happen. Some fans felt Tyson's legacy was being tarnished by these exhibition-style fights against much younger opponents. Others were more critical of Paul, accusing him of taking advantage of an aging legend for fame and money. The fights broadcast on Netflix also faced backlash as numerous viewers reported issues with buffering and streaming quality. Ironically, the same frustration that plagued Tyson in the ring seemed to extend to the audience at home, who felt they weren't getting the high-quality viewing experience they expected. However, Paul's younger fanbase rallied in support, praising his determination to keep fighting despite the criticism. They saw his victory as a testament to his work ethic and drive to make a name for himself beyond YouTube. This division of opinion highlighted a bigger issue in modern boxing, where the lines between sport, entertainment, and spectacle are increasingly blurred. This fight represents a turning point in boxing, a sport traditionally rooted in discipline, honor, and skill. With the rise of celebrity-driven matches, many believe that boxing's legacy is at risk. Promoter Frank Warren called the fight a circus act, arguing that it prioritized profits over principles. For Warren, this type of event sends the wrong message to fans and future fighters, that boxing is more about spectacle than sport. But others, like Teddy Atlas, recognize that this trend might be inevitable. With Jake Paul at the helm, boxing is reaching audiences who might never have watched a traditional match. Younger fans are tuning in, and while some purists are concerned, there's no denying that these fights are bringing attention and revenue. Whether or not this shift is good for boxing remains to be seen, but it's clear that Jake Paul's success and Tyson's vulnerability are sparking debates that will shape the future of the sport. As long as fans are watching, and money is flowing, boxing may continue evolving into a spectacle-driven arena, for better or worse. As the dust settles from Jake Paul's victory over Mike Tyson, the boxing world finds itself at a crossroads. This fight wasn't just a clash of generations, it was a symbol of the sport's ongoing identity crisis. On one hand, there's a desire to uphold boxing's traditions, where fighters rise through the ranks based on skill, dedication, and years of training. On the other, there's a new wave of celebrity-driven matches that prioritize viewership and revenue, drawing in fans from different backgrounds and tastes. While traditionalists may lament this trend, it's hard to deny the impact it has on boxing's popularity. Jake Paul's journey, from internet star to boxing contender, shows that the sport is open to change, even if it means upsetting some of its core values. For better or worse, boxing has become a stage where legends like Mike Tyson and influencers like Jake Paul can coexist, creating an unpredictable and controversial landscape. Only time will tell if this direction will sustain boxing's legacy or lead to its transformation into something entirely new.